Hey everyone, good morning. It's Wednesday, October 18th. This is the Plant-Based Morning Show presented by Compliment. Lovecompliment.com is where you can get all kinds of vegan supplements, plant-based lifestyle aids. And you can go to nomeatathlete.com/longevity to become a VIP in Compliment's new Plantapalooza longevity event. Maybe a different title than that, but that's what it is. Anyway, you'll get all kinds of good information if you do that. So check it out. nomeatathlete.com/longevity. All right. I'm at Doug in on Instagram. Wanted to take a minute to remind people that if you come to this show live, which actually I'll wait on that part. If you listen to the show on the podcast, or if you're on Instagram, you can come over to youtube.com/nomeatathlete and see the show live in its very best form. You can participate. You can join the crowd. We have a good group of people who always shows up, and you can be one of the people, one of the I don't know, group. So if you're lacking a friend group in real life, you can come to this one and have virtual friends who all like plant-based things. So anyway, all right, Doug, I'm trying to add you in. I don't know why it's not working. Let's try again. But anyway, the point is, many more people listen to the podcast than the show, so than the live version, and I'd love to get more live interaction. So if you listen to the podcast, come on over sometime, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and get in on it. All right. Instagram still not adding Doug. So we may. Oh, no, here we go. Okay. It works.
Hey, Matt. Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. Good. Very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling really positive today.
Oh, yeah?
That's the name of the game. Just very positive. Going to be a positive episode.
All right. You were positive yesterday too, and then it turned sour. Our episode, wasn't your fault. Just our
we don't
Taco
want to turn
Bell.
sour. Sour is not good.
No. I've got a tiny bit of sour news to report. Erin and Ellery yesterday actually tried the Taco Bell nacho cheese sauce. They got it. I think it was at the same Taco Bell store where I had the bad experience the previous day. And they both said not good at all. They didn't like it a bit. They said it was like fake, sort of like Velveeta.
Not at all.
No, they didn't, which I think people like Velveeta. So I don't know if that's a really valid criticism. She just said it tasted fake and not good at all. She said, don't get it. She said, do you want me to save you any? She said, it'll be gross by the time you get home anyway, but it's just not good. So I said, no, thanks. So I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, that does not sound good. That does not sound like something I'm super pumped about. But you know what? I'm going to try it anyway. You got to try it, right?
Right. Yeah, I'll give it a try at some point. I'd like to try adding it to the Crunchwrap and see how that goes.
Yeah, I wonder if it would taste less fake if it was like mixed in with other
if it's not the main event of the whole thing. Yeah, I think that's probably a good move. All right,
but yeah, you know what else I'm feeling positive about? Yesterday I shared that my Achilles had been bothering me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went on a little run this morning, and after getting it loose, it started feeling okay. I almost turned around within the first 0.2 of a mile because it was still bothering me a little bit. But once it got loose, it started doing all right. So I'm staying positive. That's the name of the game.
Good. Okay. So no days off to let it heal.
Well, I took Monday and Tuesday off.
Oh, you
did? Okay. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday off. Yeah.
Didn't you? Oh, you ran today. Okay.
Today's Wednesday. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That's good. That's good news. It's a relief.
Yes.
Glad to hear that. Okay. I don't have too much else. I made. I didn't make. I prepped, and then Erin made a meal that I found yesterday on Yahoo, which was a tofu tikka masala recipe.
Ooh.
And it was pretty good. We halved the amount of coconut milk, or maybe 3/4 of it, because it's just so much saturated fat. But it was ended up being pretty good, pretty tasty dish. But yeah, I don't have too much else new. I feel like we just did the show. I don't know why. It feels like that 24 hours passed very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that positive today. I woke up like groggy. It was weird. I woke up very late and in theory got a lot of sleep, but it was a little bit disrupted. I don't know. Just a weird day. But anyway, hopefully the show's content will speak for itself. Will make up for any grogginess I have. Let's say hi to people who are here before we jump in. We've got Dale Stevens, Sarah Curran, Kate Rivercat, Mr. Jeffrey, Anne Marie. That's it so far who have left comments. Everyone's saying good morning. Yeah, thank you all for showing up. You are who I was referring to, or about a third of the group I was referring to. And I said people are the same group always comes, and it's very cool to have that.
We had a great live crew yesterday. There were a lot of people watching. I don't know if you noticed that, but
Were there? I did
yeah,
not.
on YouTube. Yeah, seems a little
Interesting.
lower today, but it's okay.
Yeah,
They'll
it
come.
picks up. It changes. Yeah, it says 2 right now, which is not right because there's a lot more than that have left comments. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right. Anything else, Doug? Before we jump into stuff, I mean, I'm worried we're gonna finish way early. We should have a little more introductory content. We just don't today. I don't know. Like I said, the time just flew by.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't.
I got something. You may or may not be able to answer it today, but think about it. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. This weekend is the Leaf Festival, Lake Even Arts
Mm-hmm.
Festival.
Yep.
And we're camping out. The whole crew, the whole family's camping out for the weekend on the property. So it's festival style camping where everybody's just kind of like in a giant field. So you don't have like a camp. I will bring my like Coleman camp stove, but it's not like you have a big fire. Not cooking is not like a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's plenty of food trucks and things like that. But I'd still like to not buy every single meal 3 meals a day for
Right.
3 days or 2.5 days. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of food would be good. It's going to be a little bit cooler. What kind of food would be good that's like very minimal cooking, but still feels kind of like fresh food and not just add water to noodles type thing.
So you have
So
a
if you have any
fire?
ideas- I don't have a fire, but I will have a camp stove so I can heat up water. Or I mean, I could even cook something, I guess, but there's not really a good place to do dishes or anything like that.
So when you say cooking, you mean add hot water to something?
No. I mean, I'll have my Coleman camp stove, so I could literally cook anything.
What is a camp stove? That's like a grill?
Like a burner, like 2-burner, like a little.
Okay. And you get so you can bring little pots and pans or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And you need quick, easy meals.
Quick, easy meals that don't involve too much cleanup. Kate says bring pre-made chili for the first night. That's a good idea. And then just heat it on the stove. That's a great idea.
Does Kate go to Leaf?
I don't know. Maybe when she goes camping.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pre-made, yeah. I mean, I've done. You can do the foil thing where you bring foil packets of pre-chopped onions, peppers, and whatever tofu, vegan meat, whatever, and heat that all up. I don't know. Wouldn't be good though. Can you? I mean, you could just bring veggie burgers, right? Like bring like some buns and some burgers and throw them on that thing.
Yeah, just trying to think outside the box a little bit here, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, a tough situation to eat any kind of healthy food in that situation. Like it's just going to be a bunch of junk food.
Right.
I don't know. Well, good. That's fun. You're there for the whole time this year. Have you done that before?
Yeah, we've only done the camped once before, so this will be the second time. So we're going out Friday evening and Friday afternoon and stay until Sunday.
Who's the headlining act? None of your jam bands and things that I'm not going to know. But what's like an act I would know?
Nobody you would know. Hardly anybody
person?
that I know. Not one person that you would know. But it's a lot of like world music and I don't know, a lot of rhythm stuff, a lot of kind of
Jam
funk
bands.
jam bands. Yeah,
Your
it's
jam
gonna be
band.
fun.
Okay.
It's gonna be really fun. Yeah,
That's cool.
Your typical hippie arts festival.
Are your band members going?
Yes. Yep.
Oh yeah.
We're all
So you guys
going.
will all hang out. You can bring instruments and jam.
Maybe we'll get invited up on stage. You never know.
Okay, I don't like the guy who brings the guitar to the campfire and steals the whole show. Everyone wants to just hang out and have conversations. One guy wants to be the whole center of attention.
But what if the whole band is there? They're like just trying to.
Then that might be just as bad. Then it's like everyone who's there has to, be unwittingly a show audience member. Well, you brought a ukulele one time. That's maybe a better move. Kind of quiet.
I think I'm actually going to do that this time. Is just bring the ukulele.
Okay. Yeah.
There's actually a ukulele jam one day at one of the tents.
Oh yeah. So anyone can just show up.
Anyone can just show up with their uke and start jamming. It's just funny. I've never heard of that before.
I mean, wouldn't that just be like a bunch of people just strumming a chord and like their one finger chord on the ukulele that they happen to know? I mean, it's not like people playing solos and stuff, right? Or like taking turns.
I have no idea. I don't know. I've never been to a ukulele jam before, but
I guess I have the sense that there aren't a lot of people who like know the
really know how
ukulele
to
well
play it.
enough, right,
Yeah.
to do that. Whereas if you go to a normal guitar jam, every now and then you get some couple people there who do some
Mhm.
solos and things.
Mhm.
I would like to see video of that ukulele jam. If you can get that out of there,
I,
I'd love
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay.
We can show it on Tuesday.
Okay. All right, good. Well, that sounds like a good time. All right. Well, that's it. We'll jump into our weather report here and get moving. This is good. We got a little double feature today. A weather report item followed by full on article discussion regarding cultivated meats. We haven't touched in a little while because there's not that much news coming out of that world. Okay. But in other food tech, starting there, Wednesday, October 18th, weather report. If the sound machine can, there we go.
There we go.
So news to me is that they do South by Southwest in Australia. Did you know that, Doug? There's a Sydney.
No, I was trying to figure out if that was even right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's new or what. I also don't know, like South by Southwest. What does that even mean? Or that's a direction sort of coordinate, right? Like, or not coordinate, like it's like in between South and Southwest, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just South Southwest. I don't know. So I never knew what that meant, but I thought it had something to do with the direction in the country that Austin was. I don't really know. Anyway, it's still called that in Sydney. But there, Aussie brand V2 Food unveiled its new color system. This is from Green Queen, by the way, who always has really good content. Anyway, and what they're doing here, it's a color system.
That positive attitude. I like it, Matt.
Yeah, it's good publication. Anyway, so they're going with a visual. That's like their differentiator here with this vegan meat is they want a vegan meat that will turn, well, I guess a plant-based meat, but it is vegan. That will turn from pink raw looking to brown when you actually cook it, just like regular meat does, and at the same temperature. So it says to change color from raw looking to brown gray at the same time and temperature as its conventional counterparts do. First of all,
doesn't Beyond Meat do that?
That's what I thought. So they mentioned that Impossible Foods uses the heme or hem, however you say that word, HEME, and that's what makes them famously bleed like burgers, which they do. When you have a raw Impossible burger, it does have red juice that comes out of it. I don't know if the Beyond ones do that or not, but I just thought this already happened. Like I imagine. I wonder if you step back and like really look at it, like maybe we're just sort of assuming it happens because we're used to what regular meat does and looks like. Like maybe the color change is much less than it is with regular meat. And we just we see this now because it's kind of the only version we see. And we think, well, that's what it used to be. Maybe it's much different. I don't know.
Maybe it is different, but it definitely changes. Like you can, like it's not brown when it's in the packet. And then when you cook it, even all the way through, when you open it up, it's it's kind of brown.
Right. It is definitely brown after cooking. I think maybe beforehand, it's not that pink. That's kind of what I think. I think maybe we sort of think of it as pink, but it's
not actually
darker.
Okay.
I don't really know. But the Impossible obviously would because that has the heme in it. So maybe Beyond doesn't do that as much. I'm not really sure. But this is their thing, and their differentiator here is that it's made with red algae and other plants. That their thing rather than the soy-derived GMO or genetically modified element heme, which I guess I think heme normally is in animal blood, but in this case they're making it from soy. So anyway, this V2 is doing it with algae and something. So I honestly don't know if it's any healthier. To me, this goes back to like our theme recently. I'd kind of rather my burger not have anything in it added to it that makes it change the color, right? Like I'm okay with just the ingredients tasting all right. The more it looks exactly like the real thing, the more I'm starting to think this is not real food. This is some kind of fake bunch of stuff going on that I don't want to be really a part of. So I don't know. And ultimately, you follow that chain of logic and you get back to eating the Dr. Prager's veggie burgers that are just good old veggie burgers.
So would you rather have a burger that like that only has a couple ingredients but looks gray and kind of
right?
But is relatively clean, or something that looks a lot more appealing because it looks more like what your mind is used to eating?
I mean, if I was going to eat these on any kind of regular basis, I'd want the first one. I'd want to get past the visual part, just try to not look at it. Or, I mean, hopefully it's not so gross that it ruins your appetite just to see it. But like, to me, that's the big hang up is the health of these things. So if you made me something that was mostly a veggie burger and somehow tasted like meat, but it had very little in it and it just didn't look like it, I'm fine with that. But I think that's very different though for the mainstream person, right? I think if you trying to convince a flexitarian or an omnivore to get this burger at the grocery store, I think they're going to want the opposite. Actually, I don't know, because people do really care about the health now, it seems. So I'm not sure what they want. What about you?
I think I'm with you.
Mhm.
I find it appealing, especially in the early days when you'd bring a Beyond Burger or Beyond Sausage or whatever, you throw it on the grill next to the real sausage and burgers at a party, and it looked the same, and people were like, "Whoa, that's like a veggie burger." How do I even tell which one's
Right,
which? I loved that. I loved that like process.
Yeah.
Because it finally felt like something that people could relate to, that wasn't just full of beans.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I think it's a little hard to tell. Of course, I'd rather go for healthier when possible.
Yep. All right, next up, this is from Veg News. Vegan actress Alicia Silverstone has a new movie called Reptile, which is a dark crime thriller, but it includes a nod to veganism because Alicia Silverstone, of course, is vegan. She wrote the Kind Diet book, and she's fairly outspoken and consistent. She's stayed with it. She's not one of these flash in the pan celebrity vegans who just stops as soon as it gets hard. Anyway, her character brings a birthday cake to a birthday party. At that party, I think the wife of the birthday boy comes out and says, "Here's this cake that Alicia Silverstone's character made, and it's vegan. It is all vegan." And then the husband says, "No animals were harmed in the making of this cake," which I don't know if he's saying that like as a joke or if he's saying it like he's seriously just telling people no animals were harmed. I don't know. But anyway, so insignificant, but I think it's cool. I mean, I don't know if she's that high-powered of an actress these days that she can insist, anything her character does is vegan. But maybe, and not a bad thing. I think normalizes just that to be in movies. Good thing. I like that.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Speaking sort of normalizing veganism, Chunk Foods, who recently we talked about had gotten themselves into Orlando's steakhouse, which name is what?
Fishbone.
Charlie's. No,
Charlie's Steakhouse.
So they're in Charlie's Steakhouse. I think it was $69 or $75 for a steak, which I think was sort of in line with the prices of other steaks at Charlie's. I'm sure they have more expensive ones even than that. But that was kind of a cool thing. Now, and they've also done a Neat Burger partnership and Monster Vegan in Philadelphia. So we mentioned those a couple weeks ago. Now they've gotten themselves into Vito's Chop House, Fishbones, and a third Charlie's Steakhouse location. Their steak is made from fermented soy and wheat, cholesterol free. And I mean, the interesting thing here is that they're in regular steakhouses because that's typically been, you go get a baked potato and salad if you go at all. And typically you just don't go at all. I don't know. It says they're catering to a wider spectrum of flexitarian customers with these kinds of moves. And I don't know if that's true or if it's just that vegans go there and get the stuff, because it's really hard to imagine someone going to a fancy steakhouse and saying, "I'm going to exercise flexitarianism tonight and like go with this." It seems like that'd be the place when like the flexitarian would say, "Well, this is when I want to eat the real steak, and then I'm just going to go at home sometimes be less vegan than that, or more vegan than that." So I don't know. Like you said, Doug, with the price, that's kind of my hang up with the flexitarian thing. If you had all the steaks at Charlie's and they were all $70 or more, or $50 or more, and you've got this one that's like 30 or 35, that would be a pretty tempting reason to try being a flexitarian that night.
Definitely.
Like, even if you're not like hurting for money, it's just never that fun to me to spend $100 on a meal for one person. So if there's like a chance to try something new, be the person at the table who's doing something different, and you pay half the cost, I don't know. That'd be way more appealing as of a flexitarian thing to try. But who knows? Maybe that's not feasible. Maybe the steakhouse would never want to offer such a low margin thing there. I'm not really sure. But
that was one of the things that when we talked about how menus could get you to choose the vegan option.
Yep.
It was to make it cheaper than the other option, right?
Is that right? I don't remember that. I remember they said that they don't say it's vegan, and they just say what's in it.
I thought price was one of the ways that,
or
at least one of the recommendations,
right? It could be. Oh, that's right. We did talk about fast food restaurants or restaurant menus. Yeah, what techniques restaurant people could use to get. Yeah, price was definitely one of those things. So that's a good point.
Yeah. But I'm with you. It's hard to imagine that anyone who's a meat eater is going to choose a vegan option. It's the same price.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that, but if they're doing it and now they're at a third one, maybe there's some evidence that it's actually working, and it's quite possible that the owners of a steakhouse know more than we do about the steak and dining industry. So
quite possible
that we're wrong on that one. Okay, this one's kind of interesting. There's a new a company called Schouten. I wish Stephen were here to tell us the proper Dutch pronunciation.
Schouten.
Schouten. I don't know. Probably Schouten. I don't know. Anyway, they make plant proteins. They've got a new product that is a plant-based snack for children called Vegetable Bites. We've talked a lot about plant-based snacks recently. They've been a controversial thing in my household. This isn't really that kind of snack. This is more like a. It seems like this would replace your bagel bites thing. When you get home from school and you put a tray of stuff in the oven, that's what this is. They're basically like chicken nuggets, except they're veggie stuff, and they're not like fake meat veggie stuff. I don't think. They've got 46% vegetables, include corn, carrot, garden peas, onion, and red bell pepper. So this sounds more like traditional veggie burger, only it's in nugget size, and then it's in shapes that are heart, round, and star shapes. And I just thought this was a little surprising. Like we obviously all know of the classic veggie burger that is not meant to be like meat. It's just meant to be a patty that has veggies in it, and you put it on a bun and eat it. You haven't really seen that much in nugget size or nugget format that I know of. Like it's when there are nuggets, they're typically
somebody else has one of these. I've seen it before.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
I think they're even like green.
What it is. Oh, really?
What is that? It's one of the big companies. Anyway.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Green would be interesting though. These are the typical kind of brown, tan, fried food looking things. So I don't know. I'm just my sense here, because this company also last week their no egg white product was listed as in the top 10 best innovations at this year's Anuga Gastronomic Fair in Cologne, Germany. And a few months ago, they launched Southern Fried Chickenless Pops, an alternative to chicken made from soy and wheat. Kind of interesting that they're doing Southern fried stuff in Europe. I didn't know that was like a known thing, but I guess it is. So anyway, I think the company has the capacity to make meat-like substances. So I'm thinking perhaps they're like, although this is 46% vegetables, maybe the other 54% is more like fake meat texture. And that would be a pretty good kid snack. I mean, it has the potential to be, kind of kid-friendly, taste like the way chicken nuggets deliver that salty, chewy satisfaction. Maybe you can do that with half of it being vegetables. That'd be a pretty good thing. And I'd like to get that for my kids if it existed here. Apparently,
here you go, Matt.
Tried it. All right, 80% of the kids who tried this said they would try it again, and I don't really know if that's good or bad. I think with kids, I think it's good because kids are picky.
How many?
80%.
Oh, that's pretty good. Feels pretty good.
Because even a really good food, I think kids would, there's going to have some kids in there who just don't like it. They're picky.
Here we go. Dr. Prager's has these spinach littles.
Yeah, see, I think making them green is the problem with that. That seems like a classic Dr. Prager move where they're going after the strict vegan
broccoli littles. Yeah, here we go. These aren't as. No, I think they have a couple different of these, like vegetable, sweet potato.
Yeah, I remember the dinosaur thing. Okay, there's one with dinosaurs on it. Yeah, so
the green is potentially a problem.
Right, but Dr. Prager's also makes veggie burger things that are more like fake meat burgers. So just like I'm hoping with this Schouten company, Dr. Prager's, it seems like, would have the capability to kind of make it a little bit meaty and also some vegetables in there. So I don't know. I'll have to try those, at least the Dr. Prager ones, and see what they're like.
Yep. Hey, before we move to the next one, my phone is about to die. So if you're watching on Instagram, go over to youtube.com/No Meat Athlete.
Yep. Link is pinned there. youtube.com/No Meat Athlete.
But I'm gonna sign off.
Okay, I'm gonna close Instagram as well.
All right.
All right. On to the next one here. All right, this is well, sorry, this is not the main event yet. We talked a couple weeks ago about how cats apparently thrive on plant-based diets. Some new study showed that the healthiest of cats in the study were actually eating vegan diets. Of course, there's some criticism of it and saying it was a small sample size. But apparently previous studies have shown similar things, which is not the story you typically hear when you hear everyone talking about cats being obligate to carnivores. There's a new line of cat treats. They claim to be North America's first, in quotes, vegan cat treats. I have no idea why they're quoting first. It's like, as it just makes you think that's not really the first one, but that's what they're doing. They're called Noochies, Noocies! Exclamation point. Any longtime card carrying vegan would know that Noochies must imply nutritional yeast being part of it, and in fact, it is. They're enriched with fiber and B vitamins, which nutritional yeast often is, and they've got an amino acid content that's on par with premium cuts of chicken or lamb. So the guy who founded it, Joshua Erin, said in his LinkedIn post, "I'm first to this market, so it still feels a little crazy. But with an amino acid profile, et cetera, I don't believe there's a healthier cat snack in the world today." So red flag for me is that the CEO or founder is saying, "I am first," instead of saying something about the company being first.
Is he the only one? Is it a one-man show?
Possible, because you look at the package, which you don't have here, but it certainly looks like I could have printed that thing at home, the label. So I don't know. I'm a little suspicious here. I would need more evidence somehow to feel like this is a healthy thing for my cat. That, I know the recent studies are showing that a diet can work. It's just not a lot of signals for me that this is something I'd give to my cat.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
But I mean, I'm glad it's happening, and it would feel good if every treat I had to give the cat didn't have meat in it. That'd be nice. Wouldn't have to wash your hands afterwards.
Would you? Obviously, you're not going to make your cat's entire diet based off of Noochies, but a little treat like.
Right.
Do you think,
yeah. I do think that would be fairly low risk thing to do.
Totally.
The biggest risk would be that the cat would not want it at all. That'd be my first concern, and then I would have spent whatever. I'm sure it's not that cheap to get these treats, but yeah, I'd be okay with this. But even still, like if you're eating that all the time, I don't know. I mean, if you eat the treats every single day, that ends up being a significant part of your diet. So you'd want to make sure it's healthy. And I'm not doubting that a plant-based diet can be healthy, because I really think the study goes a long way in convincing me that it does. But I don't know. A product that has come so fast after that, I'm not convinced that they know. But who knows? Maybe I'm being unfair.
I don't know. I think they're going for. So I'm looking at their website. I think they're going for a retro vibe.
Yeah.
Less homemade, more retro. $9.99. Okay. Matt, this is a no-brainer, dude. Get it for your cats.
Where am I going to get it? Give it a try. I'm going to go on the website and order it and pay shipping and all that.
Yeah, maybe you can get it.
If it's on Amazon, maybe I do it. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Who goes to a company website and spends $10 on something? Because you're gonna have to pay shipping.
Get free shipping on all orders. No, you don't. There's a giant banner at the top that says,
"Okay,
we just launched. Get free shipping on all orders." So there you go.
Right. Good thing I have you, champion of small businesses.
That's right.
To keep me away from Amazon.
Amazon, support Noochies.
Unless you get compliment products on Amazon, that's decent alternative to getting them from the website. But the website's good also.
The website is a better experience.
Yeah.
You don't deal with Amazon.
Right.
But
we get your email address.
It doesn't matter where you buy from. Just get the compliment product.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to. Just go get the compliment product somehow or other, and everything will be all right.
Everything will be great.
Okay. Last one of the weather report, which goes into our next one. So months ago, we talked about Italy taking this crazy move and banning the sale and production of cultivated meat in their country. Along with that, I think at the same time, same bill or whatever, was the banning of bug flours, insect flour, from pizza and pasta. I don't know if it was all bug flour was banned or it just couldn't be used in pizza and pasta. Even that, there was more stipulations. Like it wasn't maybe totally illegal to have the stuff in the country or even sell it. You just couldn't do it in certain forms or call your stuff pizza and pasta. I don't know what it was, but the bugs is not part of this new news that I can tell. But it's possible that it's all the same bill. Anyway, they've basically withdrawn their submission to the EU. What they had been doing as a next step after the whole, Italian government had sort of passed this thing. They had submitted a technical regulations information system notification to the EU, and that somehow aims to prevent the creation of barriers in EU countries. So it sort of makes the EU say what they're doing is approved by us, and no one can sort of act against this thing somehow. But basically, so if they want to ban cultivated meat, is what it comes down to, then they need EU approval. And apparently, they've withdrawn their notification, which might be that they're changing their stance a little bit, but it also might be that they were pretty sure they were going to get rejected from the EU because there's been, people have spoken out against this from the EU or whatever. So they have a sense it's not going to pass anyway. So they've withdrawn it. So at least for the time being, they're not moving to ban cultivated meats. Of course, they were doing that because they're so proud of their food tradition. That food tradition is a very big part of their economy. So it was certainly a money-driven move. But I don't know. It has a lot of criticism followed it. Animal rights people, environment people thought that's a pretty crazy idea.
This is a win. I think it's a win.
Yeah, I do too. This company, Essere Animali, was like, I don't know. They weren't declaring it a win. They were saying this is good, but we got to keep watching it. They seem to think it's just that they don't think it's going to get passed, so they're sort of reworking it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
resubmit
still,
it in a different form or something.
Right. But still, it's something. So I'm glad. I'd really like. I hope cultivated meat gets into Italy because I think I love that Italian food, and I think to get the very traditional foods but made with cultivated meat without animals being harmed would be wonderful. I'd love that. That's my best use case for cultivated meat. Go to Italy and eat traditional foods without harming animals.
That would be pretty dope.
Yeah, it would. Even if you thought it was too unhealthy to eat all the time at your house for whatever reason, if you're just a little bit afraid of it.
I mean,
right. Great way to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anything from the audience here? Not too much in the controversial world here.
Rachel Dom is back. Welcome back, Rachel.
Oh, good.
Good to see you. And your delicious granola got gobbled up in my house.
I never got any granola. What happened to that? I thought I gave my address. I don't really know.
Oh, really? Maybe you didn't. Rooted Living. Mm-hmm. Rooted Living is her granola company, and it is absolutely delicious. My kids devoured it.
And comes in sustainable packaging, I think, right? It's not.
That's right. Sustainable packaging. It's a all woman owned and operated business, I believe.
Yep.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Okay, but Rachel though brings up something that I have in my kind of later maybe list to talk about on the show. We were going to talk about it yesterday, but there was too much good stuff, so I didn't get to it. I didn't realize it was happening at her university in Boston. Maybe it's happening elsewhere too. It says, have you heard of Elwood's dog meat? The activists who pretend sell dog meat that's actually vegan to get a convo going about food animals versus pet animals. They tabled at my university in Boston yesterday. So the thing that I saw about it was that the same table was handing out dog meat samples and human breast milk pouches. That was what they were advertising. And so people would come and they'd ask about this, or they'd say, how can you do this awful things? And then the people would, I think at some point, disclose that what they were giving out was actually oat milk or some sort of vegan milk and vegan jerky or whatever. So I just thought this was such a great way to get attention and get a conversation about this, because people say, oh, you can't possibly consume human breast milk, but then it's like, well, it's okay to consume a cow. Like, that's just grosser to me.
Sure.
To have a cow. It maybe not as seemingly weird as a human, but somehow worse. And then the thing about the dog meat, right? Like, why would you be so opposed to dog meat, but you'd happily eat some other kind of meat? Just interesting conversation. That's so much better to me, so much more thought provoking, and less put up barriers than just animal cruelty messaging and showing graphic images of animals being harmed and all that. So I think this was a really, really cool idea.
Would you, if you were walking by and you saw a table that was handing out dog meat, would you stop? Would you run? Would you say, "Hey, no, none of that"?
If I were there and saw those things,
yeah,
I think I'd be really intrigued. I'd go look at it, and I think probably even a non-vegan would also be really intrigued, right? You'd say, "Why are they doing that? Like, is that even legal in this country?" So I'd want to go see the information about it. Yeah, which is exactly why I think it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then you get a pleasant surprise when you find out that it's not those things that you thought were so horrible, right? It's this instead.
Unless you're a woman who's having trouble lactating and needs human breast milk for the kid.
Maybe, or one of these like carnivore guys and things like dog meat. That's great to go try some exotic new meat.
Stoked for it, yeah.
Right. My one concern was like, would there somehow be this just weird association. Like then you get to eat the vegan jerky. Maybe it's the first time you've tried vegan jerky, and now you just got this image about dog meat in your head as you're doing it, or the oat milk. Like, because I used to think of soy milk maybe as not that different from someone would think of human breast milk as far as grossness of trying it. Like when I used to imagine, before I was vegetarian, when I saw people drinking soy, like, I don't know, milk is just a gross sort of thing. So when I imagine like drinking rice milk or some other kind, it would be hard for me to swallow that. So, if that were me and you first told me human breast milk and then you gave me this, it just might create this kind of really negative, like, that's really gross vegan milk. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think that's more likely that than the dog meat thing. Because I'm sure the vegan jerky wasn't so meaty that it would seem like it could possibly be dog meat.
Right. I
don't know, but interesting move. I do wonder what ultimately the call to action of that table is. Like, do they say?
Is it just the thought-provoking?
Perhaps that's it. But it'd be nice if they were driving people to some website to give them a vegan kit or something. Anyway,
as long as it's not a fake pyramid scheme.
Yeah, right. Man, terrible. Die of cheese. All right. All right. So anyway, hello to Rachel. Good to see you. Glad you're skipping class or whatever. Oh no, usually has class during this time. All right. Anything else here? Mr. Jeffrey says people usually don't like the cheapest option because they don't want to look cheap. Yes, that's in reference to the cheap flexitarian steak on the menu. Or vegan steak on the menu. I kind of wondered that same thing. You don't want to be the cheap person ordering the thing that's half the price of everybody else and it's not even real meat. It could be a problem for sure. Because I think people go to steakhouses with groups and they can't. It'd be a bad look.
Mr. Jeffrey says, as opposed to a real pyramid scheme. Yeah, I'm glad it's not a fake pyramid scheme. If it was a real one, that'd be okay. But
right. All right. Onto the article. So this is from fooddive.com. The headline is The Slow Road to Retail, How Consumers Are Dictating Cultivated Meat's Strategy. It's been a while since we've talked about cultivated meat. It was everything we were talking about for a little while. And then it just sort of stopped. Like it was suddenly in these restaurants, it was approved. One restaurant on the East Coast in DC, one, I think, in LA on the West Coast. And the two different brands, Upside and forget the other one, Good Meat. Yeah, Good Meat. Each had one restaurant on one coast. And I don't know, it just sort of went away. We saw a few reviews that were kind of tepid. They weren't great. They weren't terrible, which is kind of okay, right? That's how, like, if you saw a typical restaurant review of a meal and they said it was okay, that's kind of what you expect.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, no one said it was
something new and kind of...
Right. So anyway, this article kind of just sums up what's going on and where it stands. The different reviewers have tried the stuff. Someone said it had an unpleasant toughness to it. One of the San Francisco, the one at Bar Cren there in San Francisco, unpleasant toughness. And they're talking about the road to retail. How does it get to retail from here? One thing they pointed out, and I don't know if this is new, but they said in order for cultivated meat to be comparable in price to animal-based meat, it needs to reach a production cost of $2.92 per pound, according to a report from Reuters. And although the companies have not disclosed their production costs in 2021, it was $17 per pound. But then it says missing the mark on price parity by 17%.
Yeah, that didn't. I was going to ask you how my math was screwing up there.
It must be a typo. I mean, I think maybe $2.92 is 17% of 17. That's possible. But no, it sounds to me like they missed it by like 500%. They're five times what they need to be. So that's a huge difference. But I don't know. 5X doesn't sound, in this sort of technology world, when you imagine where that goes in 2 or 3 years' time, that doesn't seem like insurmountable at all. And I don't know. You can imagine costs coming down 10X or more with just some technology upgrades.
Scale. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so then suddenly, if that were the case, it's now half the cost of animal-based meat. And that's a kind of game-changing situation, I think, if suddenly it's way, way cheaper than the animal-based meat and it's not that different in quality. So who knows what's going to actually happen with that. And that's another one of the big sort of criticisms they're saying is like, it's just this sort of murky thing. No one really knows what's actually going, or if the information coming out of these companies is real. Let's see, they mentioned when they're talking about Upside Foods that the company's current facility is lined with bioreactors used for brewing the cultivated meat. We've heard that brewing term a couple of times. But someone at the company confirmed that the company is still using 2-liter roller bottles to make its whole cuts. A very expensive and arduous process. What does that mean? What's a roller bottle?
I have no idea.
I mean, but 2 liters is tiny. That's one of those
Right.
soda bottles.
Yeah.
And that's probably one cut at a time coming out of that.
Uh-huh.
So who knows how that's all working. But those aren't mentioned on the website, even where they, kind of show their process of making the whole cut chicken. So basically people are claiming that, or employees and things have said that claims have exaggerated the capabilities of these companies. So perhaps it's not as close as people think, to reaching the scale that it needs to be in order to be cheap. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot of new information here. They make some comparisons to Beyond Meat, and I've seen some other things about Beyond Meat's decline and stuff that would kind of point to it not being just that it was too much of a bubble and then it popped. It's more like Beyond's numbers are really suffering to the point where I think they burned $300 million from cash in 2022.
Mhm.
And they only have 190 left or something like that. Like it seems like it's sort of close to extinction. I'm sure they could always raise more money, but that might just be digging a hole. So who knows? I think there's a very real risk with companies like that. And they're saying, how can Cultivated Meat avoid that whole, just reliving the same story?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so. There were a couple interesting things that stood out to me. One was just the simple fact that from a regulatory standpoint, there's nothing stopping it from happening, right? Like,
yep,
which we knew it had already all passed and everything, but I never really knew it. Like, does that mean it can go in grocery stores? I mean, I can.
Right.
I
It
can
still
buy
feels
at the
like there's like it's not really gettable. It still feels like there is regulatory stuff, but
apparently it is. I mean, you could like if someone wanted to make it and sell it and put it in a grocery store today, they could do that.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. I'm excited about that. And then I mean the other thing is that I thought was interesting was the customer mindset stuff around not wanting to roll it out too quickly without having people really wrap their head around what it is
Right.
and kind of accepted it in the restaurant first before they go shop for it at the grocery store. I think that's smart. I think that's really smart.
Yeah, because they said people will buy different things in the grocery store than they will, because they trust a chef to make it out of the restaurant. And this is why, by the way, Beyond and Impossible started at restaurants as well. Mm-hmm. And because I remember that they did, you couldn't get it. And there was this mystique around it and you wanted to try it. That's another thing. Aside from the like difference between a grocery store and a restaurant, if it's not something you can just get at home and you have to go out to a restaurant, it just sort of has this premium feel to it. And it's special and you want to get a chance to try it. Right. I think that's a pretty good thing. But one of the differences they're saying is that Beyond and Impossible were in these quick service restaurants and chains. And now this Cultivated Meat is at a much higher end restaurants. Like the one restaurant the Jose Andres one is $70 for the tasting menu, but it's like a big long wait list because it's only, I think, one day a week that they do it for a couple tables. And the Bar Cren one is like $195 or something, like a whole lot of money.
Yeah, they're all Michelin star restaurants. I mean, it needs to get into the, I don't know, like the plants, right? Like the higher end. I mean, maybe not plant because that's a vegan spot, but like a higher end restaurants, but that are in your local community, right? Like not Michelin star restaurants. Just like if I'm going to go out for a nice date night, this is where I want.
Charlie's Steakhouse. We need to get in Charlie's alongside Chunk Foods.
Exactly. Oh man, Chunk would get pushed out so quickly if Cultivated Meat got in there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, or once you do get to the grocery store, only be behind the butcher. Like do things like that. I feel like having that interaction is almost like it gives you permission to do it because there's someone who in theory knows more about it than you. Right. Like the chef at the restaurant or a butcher at a butcher shop or something like that. Like I think there's something really to that.
Yeah, and the article mentions that at the end that Impossible apparently, when they debuted in San Francisco and Los Angeles in 2016, they partnered with prominent high-end chefs Tracy Desjardins and Chris Costanino. I don't know these names, but apparently they're famous chefs. And you get those people when they say a quote about it, and then you've got some. And I think what's that guy David something who likes David Chen likes the Beyond Meat. I think no David Chang. Sorry. Impossible Burger. He likes Impossible stuff. So anyway, you get a world famous chef to make a good quote about your product. And I think that helps a lot. So they're doing the same thing here with Dominique Cren and Jose Andres, just much more expensive. And I think that's because the cost is much more expensive right now to produce. So that's why they have to start in these much higher end restaurants. So I don't know. It's like, I get why they're doing it. And certainly there are many more aspects of a business and getting something off the ground than just the way you roll it out. But this just sounds a little eerily similar to Impossible Beyond. Like, it's like we thought this was all new, and now it sort of seems like the same story. So yeah, I don't know. It just, I hope it doesn't go the same way.
Yeah.
But it's very different, right?
Yeah, I think it's different enough that it
Yeah.
It won't follow the same fate. As long as they don't try to like make it the vegan food, right? Which I don't think they will. I don't think that's the goal.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to imagine waiting 5 to 10 more years for this to get to grocery stores. It just seems like, I still think we're going to get it sooner than that, but I don't know. I'm also less certain than I used to be about wanting to try it. I've seen little more rumblings about cancer growth and as they try to make this stuff grow faster so that it takes less time to make, it's just more growth promoting agents are involved in the process. And growth promoting stuff, not always good in the body when you're an adult. So I know that's quite a stretch, right? There's no actual scientific links that I'm following. I'm just saying it sounds like a little bit of a scary thing. So wouldn't want to eat too much of it until it's known that it's good.
But you'd still try it, right?
Yeah, I definitely would still try it. Like when I go to Italy once every 5 years and just get to have all the culinary
gorge on
things.
Cultivated meat. Yeah.
It'd be great. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is our show for the day. Again, if you are here live, make sure you check out the podcast. Just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and look for Plant-Based Morning Show. If you're a podcast listener, more importantly, because there are so many podcast listeners compared to the number of people who come live, make sure you come live. 11 a.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a good time. You can join the crowd. You can be the next Mr. Jeffrey, perhaps, if you just get here and start answering all of our questions before we can even Google them and saying funny things. You could yourself be that. Look, Mr. Jeffrey could now launch a profitable spin-off brand as soon as he's ready, just based on his contributions to this show. He can have the Mr. Jeffrey show and people would do it. So you, a podcast listener, could do that.
You should.
Yeah. So you, a podcast listener.
Harold already says he would. He'd watch. He'd listen.
Oh, at his show. Yeah, I would too. I'd go to that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mr. Jeffrey and Steven were going to do some kind of live thing once.
Yeah.
That'd be a great show. That should be an ongoing thing. The Mr. Jeffrey and Steven show.
I love it. I would totally listen to that.
And anyone else. All right. Good. That's it then. We will talk to you Thursday. Any plans, fun things tonight, Doug? Anything going on?
Nope.
I've forgotten about baseball playoffs since the Orioles got out. I was so bitter.
The Phillies I've been paying attention to the Phillies.
Yeah. I did see Morning Brew was doing that whole economic collapse thing again, where like apparently if the Phillies win the playoffs because the last two times.
I forgot about that.
I mean, they beat that thing to death last year, and then I saw it for the first time this year, and I just tuned out. Out of playoffs and of Morning Brew since then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. You said nothing else going on?
No, nothing big tonight. Hopefully making some good dinner. We'll see.
Okay. Good. All right. All right. Final suggestion. Mr. Jeffrey says Bianca, Steven, and I will start the Friday edition. See, that'd be great. Then we have a Friday show.
There you go. He's been pushing that Friday show pretty hard. So
and that's Bianca's free day when she listens to the show live. So we'd miss her being here live. Maybe it'd be a different hour.
Harold Dole wants to get on. I don't know if Harold's ever contributed before. Do you know that name?
No, but I welcome new people to this. So, yeah. Oh, he did point out all these fake meats are UPF. See that? I like that. Using the term UPF tells me he might be one of our people, right? Because if you know what UPF is, then if you know, you know. So, yes, Harold, agreed. And you have ingratiated yourself already with that comment. All right. So we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see a bunch of new people there live.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.